The mockery.
Denmark will shoot first and ask questions later.
The Home Ministry needs to take an action.
Tariffs and economic sanctions.
Good evening. My name is Sahaj Sharma, and welcome to the evening show on Tuesday. It's been a long week, so much news, good and bad, but unlike before, I'm going to try something new. A 3-segment episode of the evening show, 3 news, each explained, and let's be honest, is it even the explicit without opinions? So there they are, Let's just start with the good old Donald Trump. After the second ICE shooting in Minneapolis, the Republicans' display of their pathological monomania after the EU-India Free Trade Agreement signing, the boastful Iran drama, and then the big one, the crucial one I'd say, the Epstein files. The Department of Justice on Friday published 3 million pages, 180,000 images, and 2,000 videos of the billionaire's true crime saga. The documents reveal a lot, and several high-profile names appear in them, that too multiple times, such as Trump, obviously, but even Elon Musk, who previously claimed to reveal that Trump's name is in the Epstein files, and now his name is there too. Maybe that's why the duo had a charming bromance before America's presidential elections. Both immigrants, both interested in minors, what do I say? This doesn't end here though. There are other billionaires, such as Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Richard Branson. Circling back to the American president, the slap-faced Donald appears more than 1,000 times in the newly released files. In fact, the FBI compiled a list of unverified assault allegations against Trump last year. This continues with FBI notes about a 13-year-old girl deflowered by Donald Trump. The case, however, was dropped just before the presidential elections of 2016. One of the other charges comes from an Epstein's victim who said that Ghislaine Maxwell presented her to Donald Trump. The document stages countless items, but since they are so abundant and instant, it is hard to summarize them so quickly. Still, I'll not leave the part where Melania and even the director of the infamous Melania documentary appear in these documents. So Trump was, you can suppose, always profoundly interested in either minors or the people who relate to his psychology. He still is. It is quite constraining for the democracy because I recall there was once a time when Ted Bundy contacted the FBI to be a consultant instead of being electrocuted. He proposed that he could help in catching the Green River Killer. The FBI obviously didn't agree to this absurd settlement, but to an extent, I think Trump brought Bundy's dream to reality. He's now serving as the American president, ghastly abusing his powers, and who is to blame? The capitalism or the democracy? I said capitalism because the release doesn't conclude with Trump or that he found it to be absolving him, but with also the names of the American billionaire boys. At an after-party at Ghislaine Maxwell's townhouse for Mira Nair's film Amelia, Nair's email to the publicist Peggy Segal stated the presence of Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos. Now we know the questionable nature of former American President Clinton, but I still need to look into Jeff Bezos and his appearance in these documents and whether or not there is something strong against him, like Elon Musk, who sounds desperate in attending a wild party, but the poor guy got no attention here as well. This is unlike Bill Gates though, who as per Epstein contracted an STD from Russian girls and tried to hide it from his then wife Melinda. And Richard Branson, the co-founder of Virgin Group, invited Epstein to his private Caribbean island in 2013 and asked, I quote, as long as you bring your harem, unquote. Now just note that these are long after 2008 when Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of the charges and these big names were still in contact with him. Even the royal family, Prince Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah, signing his email to Epstein as, I quote, love Sarah, the redhead, unquote. But leaving all of this aside, the Indian opposition states that it is shameful for PM Narendra Modi to appear in the Epstein files, forgetting that the names of Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, and even Nehru contribute their sufficient share. I'll come to the Modi later, but let's first talk about the ignored Gandhi face, Rahul. Epstein, so far we know what he has done, but even a criminal like that calls Rahul foolish and to have nothing aside from his family inheritance in his CV, which is exactly what the Indian population believes. At least that's why the NDA won 3 consecutive elections. Whereas when we speak of Modi, the bigger claim is that he sang and danced to impress Trump, but the Epstein files have videos as well. So why is there no evidence to support this claim? The internet has already shared the videos of the Indo-Israeli cultural program, and I for sure know I'm not blind. And contrasting the bent narrative of the opposition, I don't see Modi singing or dancing. And you know what? There is no direct meeting or communication between PM Modi and Epstein, and the latter seems to be impressed by his efforts in stabilizing the Indian economy from the start, talking about the same just 3 weeks after he was made the Prime Minister in 2014 and before producing the first budget under his leadership. In short, anything that comes out of the West targeting India or its growth, take it as a pinch of salt to your milk pudding. It may be to spoil the taste.
UGC has become a local talk in the last few days, igniting a discussion between me and a student just yesterday. And I see there are too many gaps in the common knowledge of this bill, especially because the wannabe political influencers haven't given a fair treatment to this. So, without any opinions, here are the five important things about the UGC 2026 and why it might be revolutionary. Starting from the purpose, the UGC 2026 is specifically designed to eradicate discrimination in the universities for everyone, regardless of whether the discrimination is potentially based on religion, race, gender, place of birth, caste, or disability, thereby protecting the individuals. But it particularly and in fact gives more emphasis to SC, ST, EWS disabled, or socially and economically marginalized people. Unlike what the majority of the internet users believe, this bill does not exclude the general category. This bill in itself cannot be put to rest as the UGC data reveals that the caste discrimination complaints increased by 118.4% in the last 5 years. At the same time, we can't ignore how several Indian courts have repeatedly underlined the misuse of SC/ST Act and how it's often used for financial gains. The bill would prove remarkable if it removes witness based proofs, given how false complaints don't have a punishment. Obviously, to push victims to file a complaint. So, instead of witnesses, an evidence only based system must be established. Let's clear it out. UGC has not changed in its basis when we compare the current bill to the 2012 draft. They both wanted to prevent discrimination. The second thing here is that, unlike in 2012, this bill extends the discrimination definition to even the institutional behavior, indirect discrimination, and multiple protected classes with the equity committees. Hence, it has more protection for the individuals. The grievance redressal in the UGC 2012 was mainly maintained by a university appointed anti discriminatory officer, which led to internal handling of these complaints without any strict or short timelines. However, with the 2026 model, there will be equal opportunity centers, equity committees, 24/7 online helpline portals, and even strict timelines to dispose the complaints. Further, the center will establish coordination between the civil society, local media, police, district administration, NGOs working in the field, faculty members, staff, and parents to check if the complaint is seriously taken. And in far extreme cases, there will be legal aid by the center. Now, this step was important as we saw several problems in the Arjikar Medical College case and hospital prior to the crime itself. Lastly, if the colleges do not mandatorily comply with these rules, they might lose the funding, reputation might be put at stake, and there will be enhanced monitoring. So now it is institutions' responsibility to actually take the crime seriously, which was not in the case of UGC 2012. Further, the committee will meet at least twice a year to discuss and review the actions taken on the matters received in the previous 6 months, making a safer space for students. However, the only problem I find in this bill is that rather than specifically mentioning caste based protection, the bill can be systematized with general discrimination applicable to everyone so that there is less confusion. And lastly, if only reporting of such incidents is done through any student, faculty member, or staff, then the matter must have an evidence form instead of just relying on the witnesses, which can backfire given the lying witnesses. The bill has been stayed by the Supreme Court, and we can only expect that the required updates will be made to the draft by the chief authorities. Speaking of the bill, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the Union Budget of 2026-2027 and alongside bottom flaming the opposition. This bill is a calculated aim to sustain and push the economy, work towards inclusion of the people and benefit various sectors alongside bringing accessibility. At the same time, the changes to taxes are a significant component of the bill. When we read the documents enlarging the 2026-2027 budget, you note two things. The government finding the younger generation as a trustworthy asset and planning to capitalize on the divisive character of the Republicans of America. You see, Trump has too much to deal with. Even after stopping 8 wars, he had to become a child for receiving a Nobel, for stopping the headlines of course, Epstein. He may or may not have attacked Iran, and now after EU India FTA, he has provided what India so long desired, a predictable market where it can cut American exports a little and invite companies in a way that tariffs become negligible for them, especially when India is no longer a tax zone for foreign firms with certain expertise. To be elaborate, I'll divide this bill into three fragments: Kartavya 1, Kartavya 2nd, Kartavya 3rd, and Texas. Starting with the Kartavya 1, the government bets to building a global biopharma manufacturing hub for investing rupees 10,000 crores in the next 5 years, expecting to produce biologics and biosimilars for the non-communicable diseases. The government further pushes button for the semiconductor by producing equipment and materials, designing full stack Indian IP and fortifying supply chains, and at the same time work on research and training centers. Kartavya 1 is too focused on this technology, so other areas that attract attention includes electronic components manufacturing, rare earth corridors, chemical parks, and supporting other sectors such as high tech components and textile sectors through various means. Now, champion SMEs will be created, micro enterprises will be supported, and infrastructure will be improved for connectivity and carbon efficiency. Two of the most important areas that will be developed under Kartavya 1 are the coastal cargo and high speed railway corridors between the Mumbai and Pune, Pune and Hyderabad, Hyderabad and Bengaluru, Hyderabad and Chennai, Chennai and Bengaluru, Delhi and Varanasi and Siliguri. Coming to the Kartavya second, the service sectors will attract investments to open more pathways for youth. These service sectors include elite health professionals, care ecosystem, medical value tourism, Ayush, sports tourism, cultural and heritage tourism, businesses contribution to the orange economy, education, design, animal husbandry, and AI. Since each institution holds immense value, it would be discriminatory of me to just compare the government ambitions in them. But a few of them, these include setting up three all Indian institutions of Ayurveda with higher standards for Ayush pharmacies and focusing on evidence based research. Further, AVGC content creator labs will be set up in 15,000 secondary schools and 500 colleges. Pilot scheme for upskilling 10,000 guides in 20 iconic tourist sites is also will be introduced. And at last, ecological, sustainable mountain, turtle, and bird watching trails will be developed. Next, the Kartavya 3 will focus on the farmer incomes through productivity enhancement and entrepreneurship, with special attention on the small and marginal farmers. The income surge for farmers, an ambitious goal, will be brought about through the integrated development of 500 reservoirs and Amrit Sarovars, strengthening the fisheries value chain in the coastal areas, and work on the startup and women led growth. In addition to this, animal husbandry will be given equal attention through various promotional ideas, alongside increasing the farm output and creating employment through the high value crops such as coconut, sandalwood, cacao, and cashew in coastal areas, and agar trees in the northeast, and nuts such as almonds, walnuts, and pine nuts in the hilly regions. Other schemes under Kartavya 3 empowers women-led enterprises, disabled Purvodaya and Buddhist sites in the northeastern states, and mental health and trauma care. Ending with the last fragment, tax slabs. And in order to be precise, I'll discuss the major decisions announced by the finance minister. These include tax vacation till 2047 for the foreign companies that use Indian data centers, promotion of the exports of marine, leather, and textile productions, as well as basic custom duty exemption to the capital goods used for manufacturing the lithium ion cells. Lastly, tax redemptions will be given to critical minerals and biogas blended CNG. That's it for today, guys. And remember, this is the evening show by the Explicit, bringing an opinionated take on national and international affairs. Subscribe for the timely updates. Good night.